Oh, hey. You okay? You seem, kind of confused. Must not be from around here, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, a few of you guys have been here before, and I know you're not our Rick, so,
Wait, what do you mean, not our Rick?
I mean, you don't look like our Rick, Our Rick is, he's a lot hairier. He's got that beard going on.
What? Dude, I have a... Oh!
The voices. Not again.
Welcome to the D-pad. Hey. My name's Todd.
Every time. How the fuck? There has to be a better way.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you just use the wormhole? It's, like, right there. And CJ uses it literally all the time, and he's lost no hair. He's super hairy. Like, hair everywhere.
Wait. So this is another world, then?
Yeah, I mean, at least CJ is pretty sure that it is. Hey, you're from that world with, like, leg hands? No, feet. Feet. With feet.
What day is it?
Oh, it's New Year's Eve.
What year?
2018.
Oh, whew, okay. You had me worried for a second there. I thought I was gone for, like, I don't know, 4 months, something? That's crazy. Oh, that's a big relief.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. CJ has a hard time keeping track of everything, too. Oh, speak of the devil.
Oh, hey, Ben. Oh, Rick. It's been a while.
CJ, this is Rick. He's from the timeline where they have...
Oh, yeah, I figured. No beard.
I know, right? What's that? Crazy world.
Yeah, what's our Rick up to anyway?
I don't know, man. He was, like, muttering under his breath about walls or something, so... I don't know.
I bet he's editing stuff, so it looks like he has feet.
Oh, you think so? Ugh.
Guys!
No offense.
Can I just use that thing to go back home?
No, it says wait 35 minutes after every use.
Awesome. So I guess I'm just gonna have to find something else to do to burn the time. Was that Smash?
Yeah, I was feeling kind of nostalgic, so I decided to play some of my favorite Super Smash Bros. Game, Brawl. It's the best. It has tripping, so like it really evens the playing field amongst everyone. Pros and casuals together.
God, this world is weird.
What? You gonna... I'm playing game. Can't...
Hello?
What the fuck just happened?
John?
Yeah, I moved away specifically to avoid dealing with this shit anymore.
What is going on, Rick?
I don't,
I can't even get into my apartment.
The keys don't work anymore.
So what is the deal with your John?
Hey, did CJ just get back from the wormhole? We're out of eggs. It'd be real good if he could steal some from their fridge, you know?
You've been stealing our...
Oh shit, is Rick talking again already? I thought he'd be in the walls longer than that.
Yeah, he's feeling a lot better.
I should come up and hang out.
No, not now though, because now we're naked.
Alright, bye.
So your John didn't move. He's still here. And mine is stuck in California like a homeless person. Shit, I'm gonna have to call you back.
What?
Wait!
You know what? I think I know the perfect way to pass the time. Have you ever watched MegaMan NT Warrior? Perfect. Let's watch season 5. MegaMan NT Warrior has, by this point, set a precedent for itself as a clever new twist on the Battle Network series, being able to use elements from the various games without necessarily being so tied down to the game's plots. This season kinda undoes that. A bit. See, coming off the heels of Access and Stream, which were by and large entirely original plots that more or less only borrowed the existence of Dr. Regal from the games, the 5th season of the show, called Beast, decided to try and lean a little harder back into the actual plot of Mega Man Battle Network 6. which meant that all the cool shit from the previous seasons would have to go in exchange for somehow making a long, meandering season with only half as many episodes feel twice as long. Not only would CrossFusion be almost 100% relegated to Lan, Chod, and Rika, halfway through the season we would see our rather expansive cast be reduced to 7, with CrossFusion not even being a reliable option anymore, electing instead to turn the show into Pokemon. I am not even joking. Let's jump in.
Is this show a cowboy love story?
It is not. I'm not really sure what the idea behind this selection was.
These ghost heads in the clouds make it look like all of Lin's family and friends are dead, and the song sounds like everyone's about to fuck their NetNavis.
If this was meant to take place halfway through the season, I could almost understand that, but like Dex, Yai, and Chisao are here too, so nope, ghost heads.
Oh, are they gonna do that thing where they show a bunch of characters that we have no context for at the beginning of the season?
Yep, absolutely.
Alright.
They're also gonna pace this chunk of the opening sequence really badly, like needlessly long shots of Lan, Chod, and Rika in CrossFusion, followed by what feels like the longest possible shot of this random girl. And hey, here's how much screen time this spray of new characters gets.
So you're saying it's filler?
Yeah, it's filler.
Cool. Not cool. So the season begins with the boys on a mission, setting up dimensional areas and jumping out of a dropship already cross-fused with their NetNavis. Lan is a total klutz, big surprise, but with the jet vernier giving them the ability to fly now, the show pretty dramatically changes from feeling like Power Rangers to feeling like Iron Man.
For real, this is almost like halfway to Gundam by now. It barely even resembles the first 2 seasons anymore. With Lan being the one in charge during cross-fusion, there's not much Mega Man left in this Mega Man show. And how are there even viruses here anymore? Weren't the virus attacks in the real world being set up by like Dr. Regal, Shademan, and Duo? Oh, it's a training exercise. Gotcha.
So it turns out it's only been a month since the events of Stream, and the new capabilities of their cross-fusion are explained away as being tied directly to their new model pets. May as well get that out of the way early this time around.
Also, along with the jet vernier, the new pets allow an operator's NetNavi to be a creepy shoulder ghost. Technology is magic!
Rick!
Oh, hey John.
This is gonna be really hard to edit later. I don't know if it's worth it for this psychic.
Sometime after the events of Stream, during the 20 years he had to wait before meeting up with Lan again, Colonel managed to track down BubbleMan and trap him with an ice seed, leaving him frozen so he couldn't create a time paradox. However, when a strange portal suddenly appears with an infant Navi in front of it, BubbleMan is released from his icy prison at last, grabbing the baby and fleeing with it from the sound of a fierce battle on the other side of the light.
Elsewhere, a Sharo fighter jet gets hit by some kind of invisible Falcon Navi, while a growling unseen force takes out an underground tunnel and a number of buildings above. That's not good. Or easy to explain? BubbleMan finally makes it back to Net City on foot with the baby in tow, but collapses from exhaustion, only to be found by Gutsman. The baby is inconsolable, but we do get...
ProtoMan and SearchMan struggle to calm the baby down, but when it's placed in MegaMan's arms, it immediately relaxes and cheers up. Soon after, the city finds itself under attack once again by the invisible beasts, one on land and the other in the sky, which BubbleMan uses as a distraction to vanish himself. They start to materialize, and yeesh, these are pretty stiff 3D models, and that's even by this show's standards.
So a dimensional area is activated, and the boys use cross-fusion to take them on, but even a triple program advance doesn't seem to faze them whatsoever. Only when the baby Navi turns into light in Megaman's arms and changes him into some kind of internet werewolf is he able to do any real damage to the green monster, morphing into a bird boy to take on the flying beast as well. The Cybeasts know they're beaten for now, but I get the sneaking suspicion they're going to show up for more than just the first episode. still in.
So, that's
Sorry. No, it's...
I'm just making sure. What are shoes? This is a joke, right? Like, this had to have aired right before the target audience was supposed to go down for nap time or something. This is... Oh, fuck.
Yeah, not a lot to say here. I'm not sure anything was gonna live up to last season's closing credits music, but this is just... God, it is so bland. We start the next episode with MegaMan being scanned after the Cybeasts attack. It seems like transforming into these new forms wears him down pretty badly. The baby gets scanned too, but gets upset, and his cries start causing major electrical disturbances that affect both the cyberworld and the real world as well. Roll is put in charge of watching over the baby for a while because, of course, he put the woman in charge of the baby. Fuck this show. Sorry. Who she names Beep. Fucking come on, man. Really? But her and the other Navi struggle to entertain him and end up all abandoning the job out of sheer exhaustion. While all this is going on, shadowy cloaked figures arrive by way of some kind of rift and attack passing Navis to absorb language data, allowing them to communicate in the world they've entered. Soon after, they reveal themselves as Zoano PlantMan and Zoano SparkMan.
Zoano?
Yeah. So, alright, these guys are literally NetNavis from another world, calling themselves Zoanoroids, from the ancient Greek for animal, Zoan, to refer to the fact that they've enlisted themselves into a massive war that we'll be learning about more as the season goes on. I'll give Beast this much credit. Beings from a parallel world as an excuse for bringing back dead characters is actually pretty reasonable and justifiable, all things considered, especially when compared to the asteroid Navis of Stream, which were just, like, the same Navis but from space.
Interestingly, the two Zoanoroids seem to be praying to large stone effigies of their two masters, Gregar and Falzar. I mean, they seem to be growling back, so it must be working. And also, I'm sorry, is Roll interacting with physical objects? Is this a thing that happens now?
So while Roll is off screwing with glasses of water, Beep manages to get away from Iceman and Aquaman and sneak off to Net City, where a strange sound is emanating from Akihara's central tower. It turns out the signal was one Zoanoroid calling out to the other to challenge him, and when the boys show up to intervene, we get our first look at... Well, it doesn't seem to have an actual name, exactly. See, viruses from this other world can become, as the show in Japanese calls, beastized, which makes them more powerful and more vicious, but Mega Man can beast out, as they call it in the games, which is what happens when he takes on the characteristics of Gregar or Falzar. This is sort of halfway between, but I'm just going to err on the side of calling it beasting out for them too, kind of feels more appropriate. Basically, the Zoanoroids end up looking more primitive and wild.
So they delete PlantMan, but SparkMan gets away, and we learn that Lan's grandfather, Dr. Tadashi Hikari, experimented with the idea of a place called Beyondard, or the world beyond. Also, Beep is so disruptive and annoying that it's causing Roll to start glitching out, and Mega Man decides to rename him Trill. Rika is heading back to Sharo, which means we're not going to see him until the 2-part Christmas special that may as well be the end of one season and the start of the next. It's a little abrupt.
The next episode opens with a woman filming a porno with a mannequin. Like in Mannequin. Unidentifiable 80s comedy reference. Check. Everything is going great until it isn't. This is actually a legitimate plot point for like the whole season. I hope you're paying attention. See, this is Makoto Aoki. She's the daughter of Mr. Famous's former teacher and also Mr. Famous's ex. This information apparently blows everyone's mind.
Oh my god, they're all acting super weird about it. She dated Mr. Famous. What's the big deal? It even gets to the point where Lan mishears Mr. Famous talking about how much he loves a good puzzle, thinking he's talking about Makoto. Like, all of Scilab won't stop staring. What the fuck?
Except Makoto came to Mr. Famous not for anything romantic, but for him to help her solve a coding problem that's been plaguing her. When he grills her about the origin of this code over D-burgers, she grabs the fixed program and bails, heading back to test it out on her copybot immediately. But Zoano Punk quickly takes it over, kidnapping Makoto and stalking off into the night before returning again, absorbing the local language and demanding she build more copybots. See, it was the Zoanoroids that sent Makoto the original program in the first place, and now Zoano Punk wants more. Okay, I take it back. This is basically the exact same premise as the asteroid navies.
Anyway, Zoanopunk threatens to kill Makoto, but Mr. Famous swoops in to save her, and the boys do their thing to take him out, including destroying his arm, which falls off and reverts back to a copybot arm. Basically, the point of this is to have a way to write around having to give Zoanoroids a dimensional area generator, though Scilab tends to activate them pretty often anyway, and the evil navies substantiating out in the real world is definitely bad news. The heroes destroy Zoanopunk, and it turns out Trill can speak? That's going to get real annoying real quick, isn't it?
The next episode is pretty pointless. It's basically the gang investigating a ghost ship that turns out to be controlled by a Zoanoroid trying to attack a nearby abandoned island factory that's also controlled by an opposing Zoanoroid. The only real important thing here is that Dr. Hikari realizes that the two factions of Beyondard are at war.
Same goes for the one after that, where we see all the kids in school again for the first time in ages, and Yai comes back and glitches out her dad's company's solid hologram projector. This episode has basically no purpose other than to remind the audience that Yai exists, even though she does not factor into the plot of the season at all.
At least the plot starts to finally go somewhere again in the next episode, which opens with, well, there's something you don't see every day.
I tried to think of the most harmless thing. Something I loved from my childhood. Something that could never, ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
Nice thinking, Ray.
We used to roast Stay Puft marshmallows by the fire at Camp Wakanda.
Well, some quick work by MegaMan reveals the alleged Cybeast bubble is actually just BubbleMan trying to scare people with a giant body made of foam. He manages to get away from MegaMan, Roll, and even Tomahawk Man, but is ultimately found by Aquaman and Iceman while playing hide and seek. These are for real the three best navies in the show. Their friendship is so wholesome.
The heroes grill BubbleMan on the origins of Trill, but he admits he just kind of found him there when he was finally released from the ice crystal he was trapped in at the Netopian military base. Failing conditions at the base led to its disuse about 10 years ago, so Chad flies to Netopia to investigate in person, while Lan looks into a case of 200 factory-fresh navies suddenly going missing.
Inside the abandoned base, Shoud encounters a quiet girl, but before he can figure out who she is or what she's doing there, the base starts to lock down, trapping the two inside. Back in Electopia, Rush drinks a cup of poo at a football game when the teams are absorbed by an invisible flying pyramid being controlled by Zoana Pharaohman.
Wait, hang on. How can Zoano Pharaohman even exist? In Lan's world, he was created by Dr. Tadashi Hikari's team, and when he was released way back in Season 1, his immediate goal was total conquest of the cyberworld. He's literally base now, too. I mean, granted, Zoano Pharaohman is at least visibly a lot stronger than most. When Zoano SparkMan shows up to take him down on behalf of Falzar, he is forcibly converted into supporting Gregar instead.
Trill is able to merge with MegaMan once again, who beasts out and tears SparkMan's heart out, killing him in the process. MegaMan is looking even wilder than the bad guys, to the point where even Shoud grows worried that he might be entirely out of control, until the mystery girl uses a Vulcan nerve pinch on him, ending the episode on a cliffhanger.
The next episode carries some shades of the Dark MegaMan arc of the last season, with the heroes assembling to try and calm down a feral, beasted-out MegaMan as he rampages through Net City. First, Roll and Glide try to talk him down, with Officer Manuela feeding them battle chips to make the process easier. Then, when Dex and Dingo send Gutsman and Tomahawk Man into the city to pick up some ingredients for the ramen shop, they too end up in MegaMan's path. Eventually, Mr. Famous is able to reroute the entire city's power grid into a security system to hold MegaMan in place, but when Roll tries filling Gutsman and Tomahawk Man in on what's happening, BubbleMan happens to be nearby and takes advantage of the opportunity to defeat a trapped MegaMan in the name of the Darkloids, which is basically just BubbleMan at this point.
Unfortunately, because BubbleMan more or less fails at every turn, his fish missile misses MegaMan altogether and strikes the security protocol, allowing him to escape while Zoano Pharaohman watches from afar. Lan is taking things pretty hard, but the mystery girl soon arrives and asks Lan what MegaMan is to Trill, and then vanishes on the wind.
By this point, MegaMan is attacking the football stadium, and the heroes show up to corner him so Scilab can pull him into Proto Area 01, where the net was first created. And it works, until MegaMan changes forms again and just flies out. Things are looking real bad until the mystery girl does a glowy thing with her eye and floats a ball of light down onto MegaMan.
Actually, it looks like the ball of light is separating MegaMan from Trill, and taking Trill back to the wormhole from before. A strange green Navi tries to convince him to go back through it, but Zoano Pharaohman attacks them, only to be stopped at the last moment by ProtoMan, who stayed behind at the Netopian base. Apparently this crack in space is called the fossa ambience, but the Green Navi doesn't stick around long enough to help inform us of what's going on, and Trill comes back to land and MegaMan. And in the final shot we see Zoano warning Gregar about MegaMan, before finally succumbing to his injuries. Alright, it took a quarter of the season, but finally we have a mystery that's worth solving. Kinda looking forward to see things pick up the pace around here.
Oh, I wouldn't bank on that.
No.
Like, legit, the next episode is 100% skippable. MegaMan is undergoing diagnostics, the mystery girl, revealed to be named Iris, enrolls at Land's school, interestingly, the first transfer student since Yai all the way back in Season 1, and everyone, especially Dex, is infatuated with her. Higsby pervs on Ms. Mari, then goes on a quest to become a man, and Zoano Numberman pretends to be the real deal to get close to MegaMan and Trill. Mail then tells everyone to attack both Numbermans to figure out who's the real one, and then Iris just transfers back out of the school. The end.
Oh. That was kind of disappointing after all that build-up. The next one doesn't look super important either. Zoanofreezeman is trying to sabotage an operation by Gregar's forces and winds up being badly injured. He hides away as best he can, but inadvertently picks Iceman and Aquaman's secret clubhouse and is discovered. Iceman tries to tell his friends about Freezeman, but continues to be ignored or delayed from talking to them, and... Wait, Iceman has a birthmark on his ass? Iceman has a birthmark?
Things come to a head when Zoano Stoneman starts deleting ice element navis all around Net City in a manhunt to destroy whoever took down his construction operation, eventually discovering his target. Although Iceman had been doing his best to heal Zoanofreezeman, he is still in no condition to fight, opting instead to show the curious Iceman how to make a floating ice crystal that, while, yes, beautiful, doesn't actually, matter for stuff. MegaMan arrives just in time to save them and defeat Stoneman, but it's too late for Freezeman. He relays information about the Gregar base to the Falzar army, and then dies. In a very sweet ending, though, Iceman constructs a memorial for Zoanofreezeman in his clubhouse to remember him by.
This season seems to have a thing with casually disposing of navis, even when a previous episode makes it seem like they'll be sticking around for a while. Like how the next episode starts with Zoano Gateman capturing Zoano Numberman, torturing him to extract information, then just deleting him outright. It's sort of a graphic season overall when you get right down to it.
Well, maybe we'll get lucky with the rest of the episode as Lan and Mail board Scilab's marine research vessel and check out its submarine, the Blue Abyss. Though it's probably not a great sign that Iris is here on the ship being creepy, or that a copybot was smuggled onto the ship for Zoano Quickman to use.
Mr. Famous and Lan go out for a trip on the Blue Abyss, then return and switch places with Dr. Hikari and Mail. Unfortunately, this is the point where Quickman attacks Lan to get Trill. Not before, when he was helplessly at dangerous sea depths, but now, when he's above water and can fight back. A dimensional area is generated and Lan cross-fuses to do battle, with Zoano Quickman beasting out into some kind of scorpion thing? Lan gets some help from Zoano Gateman, who hurls heavy machinery at Quickman to delete him, but then turns around and paralyzes the submarine, holding Dr. Hikari and Mail hostage in exchange for Trill. The threats freak Trill out, causing even more things on the ship to malfunction, and since Dr. Hikari is more or less helpless underwater... Things are looking pretty bad. Lan drops his pet, which Iris picks up and experiences her first emotion. But the submarine's tether snaps, sending into dangerously deep waters, and Trill merges with MegaMan once more, leaving us on a cliffhanger into the next episode, where after 2.5 minutes of recap, beasted out MegaMan no-sells Zoano Gateman's strongest attack and starts just fucking him right up.
Mail is panicking hard underwater when Dr. Hikari reveals they only have about 29 minutes worth of oxygen, and MegaMan's battle is starting to make the entire ship tilt and shake. Iris tells Trill that it's going to be okay, and then the Green Navi appears to let him know that it can separate the two at any time if things get really bad. Oh good, another Zoanoroid. Everyone, this is Larkman, everyone. At first, Zoano Larkman goes after Iris's Navi, but she creates a force field and bails the hell out of there. When Larkman uses the copybot to chase Iris herself through the ship, Lan is able to buy them time to get away by spraying with water. He asks who she even is and what the hell Trill is too, but she doesn't answer either question.
Realizing that Larkman is after her instead of him, Lan takes her pet and makes a break for it, giving Shout enough time to arrive by helicopter and crossfuse to aid in the fight. Iris gets her pet back, and everyone tells Trill the key to beating Gateman is speed. Chowd takes down Larkman while MegaMan finally defeats Gateman. Iris's Navi separates MegaMan from Trill, and Mr. Famous uses the ship's crane to lift the sub back up to the surface with seconds to spare. Things seem to be all wrapped up, but when Chowd breaks into the room Iris had locked behind her, no one is there. Ooh. Oh wait, no, there she is, in the sub. Okay.
It just keeps feeling like this season is revving up the engine but refuses to tap on the gas. Like, am I just spoiled from access and stream, or does it seem like they're trying to start everything over from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you're supposed to get out of a long-running show is that you have the foundation built up. Then you don't have to build up the ground rules all over again. But, yeah, I don't know. This doesn't feel like it's going anywhere.
No, it doesn't.
Woo!
At least they have the common decency to give us a bit more of an event for the 2-part mid-season finale / Christmas special thing. Though this might be a case of the paradigm shift being a little too severe. You'll see what I mean in a second. We start out with a Zoanoroid revealing to Gregar that Trill is the Synchronizer, with the one relaying this intel ultimately shown to be Zoano-Gutsman. It's Christmas time in Den City, and Dex has an odd premonition while helping clean up the ramen shop. Thanks, Dex. Me too, buddy.
Iris is running carelessly through the alleys trying to get away from some spooky silhouette, but there's no time for that as Zoano Snakeman is attacking NetSaver headquarters. Tomahawkman and Gutsman arrive on the scene to help out, with Protoman managing to cut off one of Snakeman's arms before he jacks out. MegaMan is playing rock, paper, scissors with Trill, and if that seems a little too casual for the situation, it's because Scilab has been covertly circulating that they have the Synchronizer.
Fake news! It's a lure to draw out those trying to capture Trill out, while MegaMan plays babysitter with him elsewhere. I mean, not the worst plan if they're trying to challenge the Zoanoroids one by one and don't want to risk Trill's capture. Rika returns after 10 episodes of absence and gets filled in on the plan by Officer Manuela, while Iris's Navi uses a hacked phone call to NetSaver HQ to phase through the secure firewalls.
It's Zoano-Gutsman's turn to attack, and he shows up with a legion of life viruses, along with crashing a truck carrying a copy bot into the building so he can do some damage in the real world as well. Rika uses CrossFusion to deal with Zoano-Gutsman, while Iris's Navi gets herself caught in a trap. It wasn't the Zoanoroids, but her that the team has been trying to lure in. Unfortunately, she just phases right back out of it. Whoops!
As Zoano-Gutsman is forced back into the cyber world, some green-eyed guy shows up and tells him that MegaMan and Trill aren't even there, prompting them to jack out. Chowd overhears Dex talking about Iris and makes a beeline for the ramen shop to find her, crashing into Dex. Again, what? It seems she can read minds by touching a person, which is how she learned about Lan from Chowd earlier on. As Iris is finally cornered, she starts to faint and reveals that Trill is the key to ending a war in her world.
The Zoanoroids suddenly attack all at once, desperately trying to break down the barrier holding Trill, which brings us to part 2, where the heroes start taking down just countless life viruses like they're nothing. Makoto arrives to fill Mr. Famous in on a critical weak point in the copybot design that the team can exploit, and Dr. Hikari has a plan for the threat on the net. The heroes' NetNavis all start panicking aloud that the force opposite whoever they're confronting has captured the Synchronizer, declaring their intent to recapture him in the 15th block, an area which, once the Zoanoroid forces all arrive and accuse each other in confusion, can have its external links erased, freezing the entire sector and everything in it.
Unfortunately, the green-eyed guy, who turns out to be Zoano Darkman, isn't fooled and takes a pretty gnarly hit from a triple program advance. As Dr. Hikari tells the team about his father's concept of Beyondard, oh my god, Mail, what is happening to your eyes? It's described as a parallel world with more or less its own version of everyone and everything in it. But, as Rika points out, just because Zoano-Gutsman exists doesn't necessarily mean Dex exists there too. Like how Zoano Snakeman being here doesn't necessarily mean Ms. Millions is either. Lan asks Iris once again who she is, and correctly deduces that she is herself from Beyondard, to which she replies that Trill is too.
What? Oh, wowie.
It's a lot of plot.
It's a lot of plot. At some point in Beyondard's past, the prototype dimensional area generator malfunctioned, creating a sort of force field around the entire planet. But rather than being a global dimensional area like we see at the end of Access, this one instead allows humans and NetNavis to coexist altogether, as well as being infected by a beast factor that makes the world's viruses significantly more vicious. The end result of this catastrophe was the arrival of Gregar and Falzar and the pursuant war of the Zoanoroids.
In the wake of these unstoppable mega beasts rampaging through what was left of a world ravaged by natural disasters and uninhabitable climates, humans were forced to take refuge in the few remaining settlements to survive. Ultimately, the Synchronizer is meant to end this war. However, if the Zoanoroids get their hands on it, it will mean global domination by the winning side. Trill was meant to be used to stop both sides, but escaped to Lan's world, causing problems there as well.
As Makoto is telling Mr. Famous that the correct use of a magnetron can disable a rogue copybot, they see a fucking spacecraft smash into the building and drop 2 copybots, one of which becomes Zoano Darkman immediately. He unfreezes the 15th block, releasing the frozen NetNavis, and the boys are forced to crossfuse to fight him, with the rest of the team taking on Zoano Gutsman and SnakeMan.
Iris manages to recall Trill just before SnakeMan gets a hold of him, but Gutsman uses the copybot to attack in the real world. Luckily, Mr. Famous is on the scene and uses the magnetron to destroy the bot, allowing Iris to escape and then be immediately captured by Zoano Darkman. Lan and Chod try to get Darkman to turn around so Rika can fire the magnetron at him, but the attack hits a disruptor mechanism Darkman was carrying, causing a fossa ambience to burst open right then and there, first allowing Darkman to escape with Iris, followed by Lan, Chod, Rika, Mail, and Dingo all being sucked through the portal and into Beyondard. Merry Christmas!
Just pointing out, we're now more than halfway through the season, and we've yet to see a single one of these characters from the opening credits. Just throwing that out there.
Even better, the tonal shift of the show at this point is so jarring and abrupt that the remaining 12 episodes feel less like the second half of a full Season 5 and more like Season 5 2. The title of this episode is even literally the title of the first episode, 2.
In Beyondard, Falzar itself shows up to chase after Zoano Darkman, but Gregar arrives as well, leaving him caught in the crossfire. Iris, realizing the gravity of the situation, fires her pet stylus with Trill inside, hoping he can remain hidden until the rest of the team can find him.
Which is gonna be a bit of a problem. See, here's Lan, and here's Chod and Mail, and here's Rika, seeing a number of figures taking away Dingo's unconscious body. Dr. Hikari desperately tries to make contact with anyone, but fails, leaving our group of 7 in like a million different pieces. Lan is alone, Chod and Mail are together, Rika's struggling to reclaim Dingo, Iris has been captured, and Trill is literally stuck in a pen.
Luckily, they're all pretty resourceful. Lan finds a disabled Gregar robot and has MegaMan analyze the language, while Chod and Mail discover an abandoned town and hit up the still relatively well-stocked supermarket for supplies. Rika wakes up Dingo at the camp of the people who had taken him away, but a masked figure spots them before they can bail. He hands Tomahawk Man back and starts speaking an understandable language, having already installed the translation program into the pet. The masked man belongs to a faction neutral to the war called the CM Forces, who focus on getting supplies and provisions to areas most affected by the conflict.
As MegaMan finally finishes installing the native language into his own memory, Lan is overrun by a beastized virus stampede. Things are looking pretty bad, until he is saved out of fucking nowhere by this world's Beryl of all people. Because this world's been affected in a way where Navis and humans can exist side by side, Beryl calls out Colonel to clear an escape path for them. As they camp out for the night, Beryl tells Lan about his history as a soldier before the Zoanoroid War, and had only heard theories about Beyondard before that moment. Now, Lan recognizes Beryl from his own world, but this version of Beryl has never met Lan before. Hello?
Hey, wasn't Beryl only this age like 20 years in the past in Lan's world? And why is everyone speaking a different language? How does a timeline that split 10 years ago make any of that make sense?
Wrong number.
Hello? God damn it. Screw it. Well, I guess I've got time to kill anyway, so let me take a crack at it. Chode loads up some news broadcasts so ProtoMan and Roll can interpret the language, and they learn that a failed dimensional area experiment caused massive problems on a global scale, including major climate shifts, geological faults, unstable everything. Back with Lan, Beryl says he thinks the whole of humanity is at stake, and Colonel seems unusually cold and standoffish, even for him. Apparently when the war began, Beryl had Colonel's personality data removed so he could be objective and calculating without being bogged down by emotion. Zoano SnakeMan attacks them, and Beryl tries to defend them, but gets knocked back pretty trivially. To make matters worse, Colonel hasn't recharged since the last confrontation, so Lan materializes MegaMan to fight instead. Considering MegaMan is no longer limited by dimensional areas, his battle chips are considerably more devastating than most in Beyondard, and Beryl is quite impressed with their technique. Back in Land's world, Dr. Hikari is able to figure out how Zoanoroids' transmitter worked, but can only use it for short burst communications. Meanwhile, in Beyondard, our heroes remain separated into 3 groups, wandering the land alone. Beryl leaves Land on his own, and Commander Mask seems to be this world's version of Commander Beef. Kind of weird lip service to old characters, but sure. We're told that in Beyondard, NetNavis can only materialize for 10 minutes at a time and need 3 hours to fully recharge, so our heroes are going to have to be real careful in this dangerous new world. And so begins the wildly different second half of the season, which includes 5 straight episodes of our heroes wandering aimlessly, trying desperately to find each other. These episodes sort of lurch back and forth between different viewpoints. The first one focuses on Chode and Mail trying to follow train tracks to civilization, but they find beast viruses attacking the area. When Mail tries to jack Roll into the signal switcher, she materializes and uses her real weird tentacle head, and they encounter Alferi and his NetNavi charge man, a literal train. Yo, okay. Turns out lots of Navis abandoned their operators to join Gregar or Falzar in the war and became Zoanoroids. Does that mean Gutsman abandoned Dex in this world? Yikes. Basically, this episode's all about trains. Al even has a moment where he smashes into Junkman to take him down, and I could swear we've seen this before.
Oh, that's no big deal. I'll just sit on the brakes for a second and...
Oh, God!
Who can say where the road goes?
The episode ends with a quick cutaway to Land doing his best desert base cosplay, also following a set of railroad tracks, which don't go anywhere. Yeah, he's gonna die. In the next episode, we see that Land is indeed still alive, and MegaMan is following Trill's voice from far away, leading them to a boat. It's under attack, and Land saves the day, but soon passes out from exhaustion and hunger, only to wake up in a settlement more or less run by a chef named Pat. Wait, I can't call her Pat. What's her name in Japanese? Fakchi Farang? That's literally Thai for Frankish cilantro. Okay, Pat it is. Land pigs out and soon makes enemies with Kojiro, the leader of the kids he saved on the boat, including getting into a curry fight very reminiscent of his first interaction with Dingo. Kojiro keeps using a stylus to try and catch fish. I don't know, don't ask me. But it seems to attract viruses instead. Pat has some serious PTSD when she sees beast viruses, and it turns out she and her Navi/Man worked on a cruise ship that was sunk by Zoano Whale Man, leaving them as the only survivors. Kojiro goes out to sea to catch fish to prove he's capable, but once again attracts viruses with the stylus. MegaMan realizes it's the stylus Iris shot out of her pet before she was captured, meaning Trill was located inside, and Land cross-fuses with him to deal with the return of Whale Man and save Kojiro. However, cross-fusing in Beyondard is exceptionally tiring, and he barely makes it out, leaving SlashMan to destroy Whale Man in a single swipe. So Trill has been found, but Iris is still MIA, and Land has no leads whatsoever, so he sticks around hoping to find his friends again soon. The next episode is really weird. Raika and Dingo find an old Tengu-looking dude named Futen Roshi inside a boulder, and he keeps leading them around and causing mischief, particularly in a town called Amita, weirdly run by Vidi Narsi, of all people. He invites the two of them to eat food, but then leaves without paying for them, and then he does the same thing at the local spa where, a huge man grabs a little boy and demands he strip naked. I need an adult. Seriously, there is a lot of deeply questionable stuff going on in this spa, and I'm just gonna jump ahead a bit here. Lan and Pat have a quick cameo talking about Futen Roshi for no reason, and SearchMan and Tomahawk Man fight Video Man and his viruses before some intervention by Futen Roshi gets Raika to notice the cliff behind them smells like sulfur, prompting him to have SearchMan break the wall, sweeping the viruses away in the mountain's hot spring water. And then, when Video Man makes duplicates of SearchMan and Tomahawk Man, Futen Roshi casually busts out Tengu Man, which everyone in town instantly recognizes and worships fervently. Tengu Man trivially deals with Video Man, and we end the episode with Raika and Dingo aboard a boat, finally meeting up with Lan again. Only for us to get the only episode in the entire run of the show not to feature Lan or MegaMan. Chode and Mail stumble upon two excavators named Moliarty and Mr. Press, who dig up a hot spring for a nearby town and get hired by Miss Millions to break through two legendarily indestructible rocks of steel. It turns out that she's been separated from her home village for 5 years and has been desperately trying to return and see her husband again, even finding herself reduced to scratching at the rocks to try to find a way to break through. Mail sticks with them and helps out on that end, while Chode travels around the mountain to convince the village to dig through the other side together. Back at Pat's village, there's a curry contest between her and Dingo, where Dingo gets only 1 vote out of 20, from Raika. That sounds important to the plot. Dingo gets pissed that he lost because he's not used to cooking with seafood and goes off in search of meat, coming upon a sassy mammoth with really weird size-changing eyes. The mammoth fucks Dingo up, and a huge submarine Navi named Diveman steals it, taking it back to his operator, Captain Blackbeard. Oh boy. Turns out this Wario-looking motherfucker is in cahoots with Harley Quinn over there. Her name is Yuika. Apparently, they run the water supply in this town, and they're not satisfied with the offerings that people have been making to them. So, they cut off all access to the water. To make matters worse, they're communicating directly with Zoanoroids and promise to alert him to any threats to their setup. Dingo and Trill arrive at Blackbeard's base and soon come upon Iris, who is imprisoned for being useless without Trill there with her. Eventually, Rika and Land catch up, and Searchman fights Diveman, while Tomahawkman fights Yuika's NetNavi, CircusMan! MegaMan gets stuck with fighting Darkman, and Iris convinces Trill to trust her and merge with MegaMan again, under the promise that she can keep them under control instead of them turning into a rage monster like before. So, MegaMan beasts out and utterly curb stomps Darkman, blowing a hole in the dam and releasing the water to the town. Diveman grabs Blackbeard and Yuika, but winds up being swept away in the current, even past Chode and Mail, who are still catching up to the rest of the team. After all is said and done, Iris asks Land to come with her to see the lab where Trill was born.
Hey. Do you hear that?
I don't...
That's the sound of the plot finally showing up, 6 episodes before the end of the season. Lan and company head off in the direction of the Dimensional Area Laboratory, leaving just before Chowd and Mail arrive looking for them. I feel kind of bad for Chowd. Once upon a time he was the number 2 character in the show, but it feels like he's really being sidelined in Beast.
On the flip side, though, Mail's been getting a lot more attention as part of the main cast after being mostly ignored for Season 2 and Access. I mean, it could be worse. The rest of the CrossFusion crew is basically non-existent after Stream. Commissioner Kiefer shows up at Scilab to call upon them to help save the city from the threat of beast-sized viruses, and guess how many of them we see in this episode, Ben?
It's not a big number, is it?
Pretty much the smallest number you can think of.
5?
Even smaller.
As they make their way to the lab, Land continues to offer food and drink to Iris, even noting that she didn't have breakfast before they departed. As Land tries to learn more about her, she mentions for the first time that she has an older brother, only to be interrupted by a glitchy transmission from Dr. Hikari, who has been working tirelessly to reconnect with his son and their friends.
Shortly after, the team finds themselves ambushed and overwhelmed by Zoano Yamato-Man and an army of Gregar soldiers, with Land standing right in the crossfire, only to be saved at the 0 hour by Iris, who gets shot in the back and seems to be fading fast. Man, irises seem to get killed like this a lot.
What am I fighting for?
Luckily for the team, Chowd and Mail hitched a ride with a boater happy to be free from Blackbeard's control, and catches up with them just in time to save Trill from being captured by Yamato-Man. Enraged, Yamato-Man beasts out, and only when Iris tells Trill to merge with MegaMan is he able to defeat and destroy the Zoanoroid. Oh, and Iris was a copybot all along.
What?
Yeah, and apparently she's been pulling a fast one on the whole cast from day one. I think Land's gonna have a hard time sleeping for a couple years.
Inside the lab, the team is greeted by archived footage of the Cataclysm, which features this rather Dr. Regal-looking fellow overseeing the dimensional area generator test that goes awry. The generator is infected with viruses and goes haywire, setting off a corrupted global dimensional area that exposes the planet to the beast factor that haunts it to this day.
It's at this point that Dr. Tadashi Hikari, the Battle Network version of Dr. Light, appears as a hologram controlled by an artificial intelligence. He founded the lab and is aware of Land thanks to Iris's Navi, who is revealed at long last to be Iris herself.
See, she was created by Dr. Hikari from the personality data Beryl had him removed from Colonel, which is interesting given how lifeless she is in nearly her entire run on the show, meaning the older brother she mentioned earlier is in fact Colonel. He also gave her a special copybot that could convert from material form to digital data and back, explaining her sudden disappearances after jacking in throughout the season.
All of this is important because Dr. Wily specifically wanted to prove the power of the beast factor, and created the Cybeasts Gregar and Falzar in order to have them fight, with the victor absorbing the other to become a body he could resurrect himself into. You know, everyday stuff. In response to this, Dr. Hikari created the Synchronizer, which Iris had been tasked with protecting, until it escaped the lab when Gregar and Falzar attacked and made its way to our hero's world in the form of Trill.
Dr. Hikari tasks Land and his friends with bringing Trill to Wily's research facility to end this whole saga, which they prepare to do before Beryl, nearly dead from exhaustion, arrives to warn them that Colonel had been captured by the enemy. And if you missed that part, don't worry, because the next episode just opens with 3.5 minutes of recap to really make sure you're all caught up.
Hey, did you know that this show is made by Plan of Action?
その間に俺たちの今後の方針を決めよう。方針って言ってもさ。
Well, they're gonna need one because Wily's lab is about 125 miles away. MegaMan suggests Lan could get there in 4 days if he literally doesn't stop or sleep, and Rika states that he and SearchMan could get there in 3, but thinking realistically, Chad delivers the bad news that it's likely to take the whole team about 10 days to travel there together.
As the team starts trying to figure out their travel itinerary, the lab is suddenly attacked by Zoanocloudman and a massive army of Falzar soldiers. Chowd and Rika agree that if they stagger out the use of their navies, that should give each one a chance to heal up for the next shift, but Lan, Dingo, and Mail hastily send MegaMan, Tomahawkman, and Roll out together to fight right away.
Iris tells Chad and Rika about the lab's defense systems, which they happily use to protect their allies from the enemy assault. Just as the battle seems to be turning in the heroes' favor, Falzar itself arrives and cripples the base's weaponry, having grown stronger from absorbing fallen Zoanoroids. Even when MegaMan and Trill beast out this time, Falzar doesn't seem phased, and even manages to grab MegaMan and start flying away with him.
Luckily, the lab's unfinished dimensional area generator is still usable, and firing it directly at Falzar causes it to come crashing back down to Earth. When MegaMan starts getting the upper hand in battle, Falzar flees, leaving Zoanocloudman behind to be destroyed.
As things start quieting down, Beryl awakens at last and tells the team about his mission to the Gregar home base, where the Resistance's anti-Cybeast weapon failed to have any effect on the monster, allowing it to capture Colonel as Beryl fled the scene in search of Dr. Hikari in the hope that he could fix Colonel.
After learning Iris's true nature as Colonel's discarded data, Beryl decides to officially join the team, only for Colonel to interrupt the festivities. This is, the third time they get cut off as they're trying to progress here?
MegaMan, Roll, and Tomahawkman are still spent from their earlier fight against Falzar's forces, so ProtoMan and SearchMan are the only remaining defense the team has. Beryl tries and fails to reason with Colonel, but when Iris approaches and embraces him, he temporarily regains his senses before casting her aside and disappearing among the dust clouds. Beryl passes out again, leaving Chad and Dingo to take the only working vehicle and drive him to Pat's village for medical care, while Lan, Mail, Rika, Iris, and Trill begin the trek to Dr. Wily's lab on foot.
Finally! Stakes. How far into the show are we right now?
That was the end of episode 21.
Okay. Wait, out of how many?
25.
It took us 21 episodes out of 25 to finally have any kind of comprehensible plot. That's really great. What are they going to do with this? Use the whole first season as a setup to have a completely different plot for the second season?
Not really. NT Warrior Beast is already basically a loose adaptation of MegaMan Battle Network 6, and they didn't make any more Battle Network games after that, so this is it.
This was a huge waste of time.
If you want to get real mad, check out the next episode, The Boy Called Death. The team has been dealing with so many virus attacks that Roll is currently the only Navi that hasn't had her HP depleted. And in the fray, a ferry is destroyed, leaving the heroes to have to tunnel underneath a river and deal with Zoanocutman to get to their destination instead.
Wait, who the hell is this guy?
Oh, this is...
Killer Man?
Oh, in the games he's a race man, and this is his operator, Dark Scythe. Kind of reminds me of Dusk, whose name is also Dark in Japan. We actually forgot to talk about his episode in the stream review, even though it was in the script. I don't know how that happened. See, there's this kind of neat conflict where Dusk is hired to delete MegaMan, but he has the crest of Duo, so he struggles with whether or not to...
Yeah. That's great and all, but is this show seriously adding in new characters with less than 4 episodes to go?
Oh, yes. Yes, they are. Anyway, Dark is an assassin, but he was hired by Commander Mask to bring supplies to other encampments to aid in the survival of the resistance against the Zoanoroids, who Rika recognizes as the man who helped save Dingo, and who Lan and Mail immediately recognize as Mesa, who instead goes by Commander Beef in their world.
There's also this kind of weird sight gag where every time Lan comments on how much Dark reminds him of Chowd, Chowd sneezes, prompting Dingo to ask repeatedly if he's getting sick. Except Chowd straight up recognizes he's sneezing because Lan is talking about him.
だいぶひどいな、風邪。いや、原因は分かってる。ネットだ。ネット？悪口言えるぐらいなら元気でやっているということか。
How does that work? This is bullshit.
Oh no. Ben's calling something bullshit.
Anyway, the biggest problem with the hero's plan is that a massive Falzar fortress is in the way of the tunnel, and it's being commandeered by the Cutman clan, a team of 50 Zoano Cutmen devoted to the flying Cybeast. Well, there were 50, but Eraseman's been whittling away at them one by one, and now they're down to 5.
Unfortunately, the Cutman clan is on top of things this time and has captured not just Mesa, but Sal, Miyu, and more members of the team as well. The Cutmen demand that Dark erase MegaMan in one-on-one combat and capture Trill, but Dark remembers learning the lesson that the heart is more valuable than any amount of money, opting to hatch a scheme to emerge victorious. He silently signals to Eraseman what to do, who passes the message on to MegaMan during their battle, and the two are able to coordinate their attacks to miss each other and free Commander Mask's hand enough for him to summon Sharkman to take him to safety. While all this is going on, SearchMan frees the Resistance members from the fortress, while Roll pretends he's still cheering on MegaMan, and the whole team works together to take down the last of the Cutman clan. Now, look, if this episode, or an episode like it, happened a lot earlier in the show, then yeah, this would be an appropriate level of conflict. And I'm not saying this is bad, per se, but there's only an hour left in the show, and it's not really building towards anything at this point.
I mean, the good news is that things are going to start picking up from here, but it's taken us so long to get here that it just kind of feels like everything's happening at the last second. The next episode sees us dropping in on Blackbeard and Yuika again, riding Diveman through the desert on their search for Trill. They've apparently abandoned Gregar altogether and are acting as independent mercenaries, but don't seem to care what enemies they make so long as they're on the strongest team.
Lan and company arrive in the city of Hazara, which has been utterly destroyed in a fairly one-sided battle between Zoano Colonel and Zoano Swordman. Iris recognizes the damage as being consistent with Colonel's screen divide, and speak of the devil, here he is! He's been a bad guy for about an episode and a half, so it's time for him to fight the team and beast out. It's an absolute slaughter. Colonel has no issue tearing through the team whatsoever, and even Gregar shows up to take on the NetNavis.
During all this, Beryl wakes up in Pat's village, and she prepares a meal and a boat for them to travel to catch up with Lan and his friends. What they discover when they arrive in Hazara is that Lan had tried to escape with Iris and Trill, only to be cornered by the Zoanoroid. Beryl tries to wrap him up with a cable and talk with him, while Pat sends out Slashman to fight, but neither are effective, leaving Colonel to lash out and badly damage Iris's copybot. MegaMan appears from under the sand to defend her, but it's Trill that ultimately saves the day, crying and lifting himself, Iris, and Colonel into the air.
She has a quick metaphorical bonding moment with Colonel before having a very literal one, reunifying the two at last into a complete, and most importantly, no longer enraged, Colonel. Oh, and while all this is going on, Falzar shows up to fight Gregar, and their battle is so fierce that it creates another Fossa ambience, prompting Dr. Hikari to call on the CrossFusion members again, this time actually getting them to show up. It only took 3 episodes to finally happen. It's a nice enough cameo for Princess Pride, Ms. Yuri, Firefox, Jasmine, Charlie, and even Tesla, who is mostly grumpy that she was the sole member not to be called in, and only begrudgingly helps out when the vacation she and Charlie were headed off to is interrupted by an attack on the airport. But they don't really contribute meaningfully to anything. It's a cool reference back to Stream, and we get to see them cross-fuse one last time, I guess.
Anyway, the episode ends with Diveman grabbing Trill and making a hasty retreat with him before either Cybeast or Lan's team can stop him, and they're headed for Dr. Wily's lab too. Which brings us to the penultimate episode, where Lan's team is pinned down by the Cybeast battle and can't immediately follow Diveman. Dr. Hikari and Lan finally make contact, but Lan's unable to stay on the line, and a massive blazing fire attack from Gregar traps them even further. MegaMan offers to fight, but his hit points are too low for him to materialize, prompting Lan to decide the only way out is cross-fusion, even with the significant risk of serious bodily injury just for attempting it. Chad and Rika do the same and realize the immeasurable pain Lan is enduring by cross-fusing in Beyondard, and the three ultimately collapse from the strain.
Just when all seems lost, Commander Mask's team arrive on the scene with Sharkman, Skullman, and Woodman, along with a resistance force wielding tanks and electric guns. The Fossa ambience grows larger as the battle rages on, and in Lan's world, hundreds of beast-sized viruses rain down on the city, leaving the CrossFusion members to struggle to contain the threat. As Mask's team deals with the situation in Hazara, Beryl drives the rest of the team to Wily's lab in one of the tanks, only for a hologram of Dr. Wily to appear within to taunt them, saying how he has a secret purpose for Trill now.
The team eventually arrives at Wily's lab, defended by a dimensional area that Dark and some of the Resistance have been struggling to break through. Lan decides to use Iris's special copybot to phase MegaMan into the dimensional area, but everyone else just using their NetNavis instead, until Beryl jacks in Colonel without asking, wanting to give him a chance to make up for his time under Gregar's control. Inside the base, Blackbeard and Yuika are playing cards with Diveman and CircusMan and put up no fight at all against Colonel, having wasted their hit points just by substantiating for their card game.
However, just as Colonel is about to destroy the dimensional area generator, Dr. Wily abuses the remnants of Gregar's control over him and speaks directly through his code, sending him into a wild rage that once again can only be stopped by the intervention of Iris. In the end, realizing that he is compromised as long as Wily exists, Colonel opts to sacrifice himself to destroy the generator, leaving only Iris behind.
With the generator down, Dark has a raceman buy the team time while they assault the base, where they find Trill in a glass containment unit. And at long last, the battle of the Cybeasts comes to an end when Gregar is able to successfully defeat Falzar. See, this is the problem with having two opposing antagonists in a story. You find yourself kind of stuck. You either need to explicitly show that both sides are equally strong for dramatic tension, with a final confrontation where you're forced to take on both enemies at once, or you take the literary low road and just have one bad guy defeat the other. In this case, anyone paying attention could probably guess that Gregar was going to win over Falzar in the end. I mean, Falzar is the only one who was even remotely damaged by the heroes during the course of this season, and Gregar was in charge of Zoanoroids Darkman and got its hands on Colonel, and frankly, the vast majority of the interesting beast out transformations in the season were from NetNavi's allied with Gregar and not Falzar. You end up with a situation where one bad guy was always going to trounce the other, and in this case, Wily declares Gregar the victor, has Gregar absorb Falzar, and takes Trill into the combined body to form some kind of super Cybeast, which immediately tests its strength by destroying an entire mountain range and vaporizing both Cybeast's armies in a flash.
Trill starts to disintegrate into raw data, which Land desperately tries to slow down by using Mega Man's repair protocols. With Trill being built by Dr. Hikari and Mega Man being based on his tech, their systems would presumably be compatible. However, before they can do anything to help, Trill's form collapses into nothing. And for some mood whiplash, Blackbeard and Yuika try to escape in their Twin Bee helicopter, only for Dark to toss a bomb in at the last second, downing the chopper.
The Super Cybeast starts traveling through Beyondard, attacking cities including Pat's village, as Dr. Hikari determines that firing both of the dimensional area generators that created the Beast Factor, along with the power of the Synchronizer, should be enough to destroy it for good. However, with Trill reduced to raw data and Wily's generator busted, they're going to have to improvise. Dr. Hikari suggests that Scilab could fire its dimensional area generator into the wormhole to Beyondard, and Mega Man says that he can embed Trill's data onto himself and become a new Synchronizer to make it all work.
The CrossFusion members continue to fight the Beyondard threat from street level, and the distortion effects are strong enough that even BubbleMan is able to fight alongside them. But the plan is set into motion, the generators are fired, and Mega Man uses his new powers to amplify the effect, which starts simply annihilating all the beast viruses in an instant. BubbleMan is okay though. We are 8 minutes from the end of the season. Are we gonna get a big finish or not?
Well, just before the beams destroy the Super Cybeast, Wily inside begins laughing, and it's discovered that he is pouring the infected Beast Factor into Mega Man, using the distraction to escape into the real world and start wiping out whole rows of skyscrapers. Oh, fuck! BubbleMan wisely bails, but Land doesn't have the same option as he can't jack Mega Man out. Trill's data can't control itself and starts chaotically destroying Beyondard. Land decides to cross-fuse with Mega Man and try to connect with Trill to calm him down, and the end result is Beast Form Cross-Fusion Mega Man. I'm sure it was a really good toy line. He arrives back in his own world and absorbs the entirety of Cybeast Wily's strongest attack and just absolutely wrecks the guy in under 75 seconds. It's a fucking embarrassment of a showing, and it ends with him splitting the Cybeast in half like a fucking banana.
Land returns to Beyondard and heals the world of its Beast Factor, finally bringing an end to the,
Beast Wars!
Chowd, Rika, Mail, and Dingo suddenly vanish, leaving the others behind, including Pat. That's the last you're going to see of her. She's just surreptitiously done. Iris and Trill show up to thank Lan and his friends, and Trill decides to stay in Beyondard to protect it like Mega Man. And the adventure continue.
And that's the season. It's actually kind of staggering just how night and day the difference is between Axis and Stream and Beast. We came off a 100-episode, dense arc of interwoven plot threads and arrived to a season that barely seems to want to have a cohesive story at all.
It literally takes 20 episodes until things feel like they're moving, and even when they do, it's so bogged down in these Deus Ex Machina scenarios that the victory doesn't even feel earned.
I get that they were trying to split the difference between the more direct adaptation of the two EXE seasons and the more original storyline of Axis and Stream, but they wound up just reusing tons of old characters and navis from scratch and making a huge, confusing mess of the place.
Not to mention the jarring disconnect between the adventures in Land's world and the adventures in Beyondard. The first half of the season feels almost entirely pointless, and what had been the main cast for 13 episodes is just locked away until the finale. It feels like two entirely different seasons.
That's not even including completely abandoning the cross-fusion characters until their cameo in the final episodes.
In the end, this season just really didn't work for me. I don't know if it's just that Axis and Stream are so good that nothing's going to measure up anymore, but it just feels like it fell really, really flat in every department.
I don't know why you watched this whole thing, man. Like, we never waste our time on stuff like that here.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, is this thing ready yet? I would really rather not take the long way around, and I feel like I've already been gone for 100 videos. I mean, days.
Same thing.
Alright, sure. One free ride. It's all yours, kid.
You sat there silently through the entire review playing your game, and this is what you got for me right now?
You want to get in this hole or not?
Fair enough. Well, anyway, yeah, thanks for letting me crash here for a little while, and hey, thanks for watching that crappy season anime with me, Ben.
Yeah, please don't do that again for the last one, please.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks for having me, and I hope I'm never back here again.
That's right.
Wait. Last one?
Jingle bells, D-pad smells, Rick 100% of the game. Man, I hate those guys. I hope they're having a horrible time. That's minty. Cold and refreshing in my mouth. Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Where's my phone?